feast of Our Lady of Rosary, let us pray for peace, especially in the Middle East. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Mary, seat of wisdom, pray for us. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. So this morning we begin the second section of the class of the course on philosophy of man. The first was to study how we know, how we are in contact with the world, and how the world is in contact with us. That is knowledge. Now we have to study a second important reality in our life. It is what we call the appetite. Appetite comes from Latin, peto, the ad tower. Peto means to ask for, to ask for. And pet ad tower. So tending, we are tending tower, intention towards some good. It is appetite. So the word appetite is not only before a meal, it's good appetite. Appetite is in scholastic philosophy is a general term covering the will and our emotion and our passion, all that. Because in those activity, now we are tending to seize the good in something. Well, you go, suppose you are very thirsty, it is in August, and you are walking, and suddenly there is no restaurant. But suddenly, turning the corner of the street, you see a restaurant, Coca-Cola, fresh Coca-Cola. So you know Coca-Cola. But you don't do only through your mind. That provokes in you an appetite, a desire for Coca-Cola. So it is what we are studying now. It is very important because in our life it's a great reality. We are tending continually toward the good. When you go to the refectory, you are tending toward the good. When you come in here, you are tending toward the good. If there was no good here, you will not be here. So in everything we are tending toward the good. That tendency toward the good, we call that appetite. Okay. So there is a link between knowledge and appetite. Or if you want, between my knowledge and my willing and choosing. The fact I am taking a decision towards something. So in fact, what is the central problem here? The problem of freedom. In that chapter, we have to try to understand what is the human will, the human willing, the volition, what is volition? Free volition. In fact, that chapter is very, very important. Two chapters are excessively important. The first, intellection, how we know. Secondly, how we will. How we decide, how we exercise our freedom. So that, and it is probably one of the most chapters you will use as a teacher. Many, many times you will ask questions about freedom. Why we are free, why we are responsible. The foundation of ethics is it. That chapter is the foundation of all ethics, fundamental moral, all that depend on the conception we have about willing and choosing. That means conception about human freedom. So that chapter is very, not only to pass the examination, it's important for your life, personally, to first to understand and to be able to explain. Many, many times in my life I have a lot of questions about freedom. It's very important. So we see number two, appetition is a fundamental component of human experience. We see something, we know something, and we have an appetite for something. Or, on the contrary, we have aversion for that, you know. For example, when you see a skunk at night, I don't think, oh, my beautiful little skunk. No, you say, oh, retro Satanas. Go back, Satan. Don't pour me with your perfume. Huh? But that is appetite also. Why you want not to be too close to the skunk? Because you have the appetite not to be powered with a special perfume. You know? In fact, you take care of you. Finally, the appetite at the end, it is to survive. When somebody has no more appetite, what happens? He dies. So appetite is essential. It is what leads us to action. The intellect does not lead us to action. The intellect indicates the way. Now, the decision is not from my intellect, it's from my will. C'est the subject here. So it is even animals have appetite. Animals have appetite, they have instinct. Huh? But the difference is, they are not free, they are determined for that. For example, the cat, dogs, they reproduce, they save their species, but they have no class of bioethic. You know, they follow their instinct. They have no responsibility, they only to follow their instinct. But they have an appetite. And my dog has an appetite to eat. And when I come with bones, he's wagging his tail, saying, hey, I want that. Huh? So animals are that. But the difference, we know that we have appetite. So we can control our appetite. We have the mastering of our appetite. We are free. So freedom is the control of our appetite. Okay? So it is only to introduce you for that chapter. And in fact, that chapter is explaining you how we start from knowledge to action. How we are responsible for our action. So I say that chapter is complementary with chapter 7. Chapter 7 and chapter 9 are the two columns of the human person. We are intelligent and we are free. We have an intellect and we have a will, our two spiritual faculties. Page 2. So in animal, they will say that appetite is functional. Of course, for us also we have an instinct, we have natural appetite. But we know when you go to the refectory to eat because you are hungry, you have an instinct. We have an instinct for that. But we have also the knowledge of that instinct. So we do the refectory not only by instinct, we do by will. And we are responsible when we eat, because we eat with our reason. We eat reasonably, no? When we drink reasonably, I suppose. If you drink too much wine or scotch, that is unreasonable. Huh? So you become like a beast, because you lost your responsibility, your mind. Huh? Okay. Number 4. So in man, the knowing act of the human are purposeful. Huh? They are for a goal, for an end. Nothing exists without an end. So if we tend toward something, because consciously or unconsciously we find something good in that. It's the same for an animal. When an animal is tending toward something, because the animal finds something good in that. And when he does not want, remember the statues, ivory statues, I spoke about that to you. The dog was able to distinguish the ivory statues and the plastic statue. And he found the good in the ivory statue and he chewed them. He assimilated the Blessed Virgin Mary and Saint Joseph. And the other is not touched. Why? Because his instinct present in that. Your dog, when he runs after a mouse, he sees in the mouse something good. Otherwise, even if you put a rubber mouse, the same thing, exactly the same thing, he will not move. Because he does not see something good in that, you know. So what is provoking appetite is something good, an aspect of good. But that aspect of good, how it can act on us only if we know it. If you know it, you will desire it. If you don't know, you cannot design. Okay? We cannot love a person we don't know. I was not able to love you 20 years ago. No, I love all my students. Okay. So the act of appetition. What is appetition? Is the action of the appetite. Huh? Like volition. Volition is the action of to will. In Latin, to will is velle. And so we have voluntas. Huh? Fiat voluntas tua. You sing that in our Pater Noster, huh? Fiat voluntas tua. You see that Mary said that was a fiat niki secundum verbum tuum, huh? Voluntas. Okay? Yeah, page 2 at the bottom, sensory appetite. Okay, now page 3. The problem of volition. In fact, in other way, the problem of freedom. Because the will is linked with freedom. With freedom. So the question is man free? Is man free? And you know, not everyone answers yes. Someone, they say, man is not free at all. Some other, the man is absolutely free. And someone say, we are free, but not absolutely. So we have 3 categories that correspond to what I gave you, the paper I gave you here. Okay? So the volitional act, the act of the will, is provoked by an attraction of an object known. So we know, and when we know, we attend an object. We saw that before. Huh? Now that object, under the aspect of good, that object provoke an attraction of our will, or our sense appetite. So this, we cannot will, we cannot desire, we cannot want, we cannot tell towards something if there is no something. So the first step is the knowledge. And we discover that the object is good for me or is bad. If the object is good, we are tending toward it. If it is bad, we do everything to avoid it. But it is also a lack of the will. Huh? When suppose you don't like mushroom, and they serve you mushroom, what you will do? You put mushroom aside on your plate, no? Someone they don't like something, they put that on the side of the. Huh? So because they find something not good for them, why they can say, it's good on me? Because I know. So knowledge, the intellect is inseparable of the act of willing. They go together. They are different, and it is what we are studying during this hour. How one is working with the other. So that tendency toward an object, that object can be a thing, it can be a thing, it can be also an action. So the object can be a thing. For example, ice cream can be an action to swim, swimming, hiking. When you jog, you are going to jog in the morning, you will to do that. It's the object of your decision, of your will. So you will an action, but you can will a thing. So when we speak about object, be careful. When we speak about object, the object can design either a thing, a material thing, or spiritual thing, or also an action. When you decide to go to the chapel, it is an action. You decide to pray, it is an action. That action is the object of your will, of your volition, what you will. You go to the store, you buy a computer, that is the object of your will. So when we will, we say object. But the object, be careful, it's not necessarily a material thing. It can be an action. Okay? It is in fact what we will, what we decide. The what. Okay? So the attraction is a fact. I think everyone accepts that attraction is a fact. But is that attraction free or not? That is the problem. For someone, they will say, I am not free. If I drink beer, alcohol, gin, or I smoke pot, marijuana from Canada or from Colorado, I am not free. He killed his father, he killed his boss. He was not free. Therefore, he's not guilty. Someone, they deny freedom. Because we are determined by the object. The object determines us, no freedom. You know? Someone, they say, I am totally free, etc. So what will be the position? We'll see that soon. Huh? It's the position of Aristotle and taken by St. Thomas. Okay, so you have that here. And what is important, page 3, you look at the square and the rectangle. In sense knowledge is linked with sense appetition, desire, and that is sense appetite. That means the attraction, the appetition can be on the sense level, can be on the intellectual level, spiritual level. So that attraction can be for chocolate, and can be also for the love of God, for the salvation of sin. You know? So, but that attraction is always provoked by an object known. We cannot love Jesus if we don't know who is Jesus. It was the conference I was attending on Saturday. People don't go to church because they don't know who is Jesus. They went to church many years, but they never met Jesus. We cannot love a person if we don't know that person. I cannot buy that kind of soap or that kind of perfume or cigarette if I don't know the existence of that perfume or cigarette. Okay? So intellective knowledge. So we have two levels. And the level of intellective knowledge, what is important, that the act is not a neutral act, it is a moral act. In fact, a moral act is an act accomplished under the light of the intellect with the strength, the decision of the will. In fact, every act of the will has a moral dimension. Because the object is the good, or the absence of good. You know? That is very important. It's the reason why I say that chapter, in fact, when you study with Father Malady and fundamental moral, you study exactly the same thing, but not on the same perspective. But that is very, very important. And you are called to speak about morality in the future, to discuss about the foundation. Why I am obliged to do that? Huh? Why? Because I am free. Why I'm free now? Okay, next page, page 4. Now we have a different approach. Huh? So the materialistic approach denies a basic difference between sensation and intellection. In fact, the same position we found when we studied knowledge are seen again when we study the will, free will. You know, those who deny intellection, they deny free will. They deny the spirit. The fundamental difference is they accept sensitive appetition, but they don't accept intellectual appetition. That means when you are doing something, you are tending like an animal toward the thing. You know, if that man is a drug addict, but he's because it tends toward his sense appetition, he is not responsible. In fact, that current leads to a kind of position we call determinism. Determinism. That means we are determined. We are like a cat, like a dog. The same thing. You know, the position of materialistic philosophy in knowledge, it is The same in philosophy of freedom of human will. So if I am a materialistic philosopher, materialist in philosophy of knowledge, I will be also a determinist, materialist philosopher in the interpretation of human free act. Okay? So for material, there is only one reality, matter. So intellective life is reduced to sensation. And those people, when they study human act, they will not study about responsibility. They will speak about behavior. Behavior. And many modern psychologists, they speak only about behavior. The reality of ethic, morality and ethics is not linked with behavior. With the behavior of a beaver, the behavior of a dog, the behavior of a bee, the behavior of a man. And they are on the same level. So that they cannot go higher. Why? Because they deny any spiritual reality. Okay? So here, number 4.3. In other words, the materialist must reject the notion of freedom, accept the premise that human behavior is controlled not by the individual, but by circumstances, by the environment. That environment can be sociological, can be religious also. We see that soon, many kinds of. What are the consequences of that?
The responsibility.
The consequence of that, first, there is no responsibility. If I follow my instinct, there is no freedom, I can kill, I can do anything, no problem. You are okay, I am okay, And that, it is the world in which we live, don't forget. We live in a materialistic world. Materialism is dominating our Western world. So, sexuality, for example, is reduced to only the same sexuality as cat and dogs. So we have no reason to marry, no reason to observe some moral law, we follow our instinct. Laws and command, reward, punishment, they have no more meaning, If there is no responsibility, there is no punishment, there is no reward. So if you are a gangster or a saint, it's the same. You are stupid to be a saint. Not to drink, not to eat, not to have fun, not to have sex. You're stupid. Because everything is on the same level, material level. Love is reduced. So the word love is reduced to another meaning, that love is love of myself. Love yourself first. Page 5. So, impossibility, speaking of justice, guilt, or meritorious behavior. In fact, if you accept the materialistic approach of freedom, of the will, there should be no court of justice. No, why the court of justice? We are not responsible. And many times, what the lawyer defending the criminal, what is the argument? He's not responsible. He followed his passion. He was out of himself, And he tried to prove that he was a little bit insane. He acted like a dog, like a cat, He jumped on the mouse. He did not, That's the very important consequences. It is interesting to see that, to understand in what world we live. We live in that world. Many people, they don't accept really responsibilities because they are materialistic. In the philosophy 445, the good merely describe physical quality, beauty, health, etc. And what is good, what is morally good, it is what is useful. And what is bad, it is what is not useful. So all people are not useful, so therefore we will euthanize them. No? Sick are not useful. Hitler did that, no? In that current, it is called, in the past, Epicureanism or hedonism. Hedone in Greek means pleasure. And it was translated into modern philosophy by Adam Smith and John Stuart Mill, we see that in philosophy of ethics, social ethics. We call that utilitarianism. Utilitarianism is hedonism. It is good, have fun, okay. Think only now, don't think in the future. Smoke today. Don't think about the cancer you will have when you will be 55. Drink today, don't think about the disease you can have, cirrhosis, when you be 60. You know? Enjoy now, because tomorrow we don't know if we are still living. Okay? So the behavior of a man is not different from the behavior of an animal. That is the materialistic position, and we will come back on that here. Determinism, the first column here on the paper you have. Now, there is, from that, how we understand human freedom. So page 6. For many, we are determined. In fact, for them, freedom is only a reaction. Action, reaction. I present you a candy, and you react. You say, oh, it's good. I present to you a paper to write, oh, that's not good. You know, that reaction, that is, no, that is the way we call it determinist view, or determinism. In fact, practically, as we saw just before, is the desire of denial of freedom. In fact, they say the act we do, we cannot avoid them. They are provoked by stimuli. There is a stimulus. You present to a child ice cream. If he is in good health, he will jump on the ice cream. Is the reason why I'm still a young boy. We are. We always stay young. We stay young. Okay? So, how they explain that? And you have many. First, the physiological determinism. They say it is because of DNA. And it is in DNA. You are a gangster because it is in DNA. You are an alcoholic because you are in DNA. You know? Hereditary genetic determinism. So you have no responsibility. You cannot change except as you are. Continue to drink. Secondly, psychological determinism. That means we are marked by our unconscious. Our unconscious was influenced when we were young, before 5, before 3, and now we are dealing with that. In fact, we will study that in 3 weeks, when we study unconscious. Another, it is the sociological determinism or environmental determinism. We are determined by the society. The society today goes to church, we go to church. The society not done. You are crazy to go to church, but don't go to church. The influence of social pressure. So we are not free. Okay? Cultural climate, they call it here. You have another determinism, is theological determinism. Think about predestination. You can do all the good things you can do, but if you are not called to be saved, you will not be saved. You are a gangster, you are a drunkard, you are an adulterer, but you know, if called to be saved, you will be saved. Calvinism, that is a kind of determinism. I am predetermined, I am not free. We'll speak about that a little bit in philosophy of God. So 2 facts, 7.5 in the middle. In some instances, we do not seem to be able to choose. For example, we cannot choose our parent. It's true, our nationality. Secondly, when we choose, we always do for a reason. That is the argument, the central argument for determinism is here. They say, you know, you are not free because every time you act for a motive, for a reason. Therefore, the reason is the cause of your action. So you are not free. You are determined by the motivation. So you are not free. You work on Wall Street, you are not free. Because you have a motivation to make money. So you are the slave of your motivation. You're not free to become sister or priest of Catholic in Catholic action. No, you're not free because the motivation of going to hell, not to hell, to heaven is leading you to act. You're not free. Like the Christians went to Mass for centuries because they were afraid to go to hell. So they must know. That is the theory of determinism. And you have to explain that. I think it is the central point is here. How is it possible I am free, and at the same time I am motivated by someone, something? Where is my path of freedom? Well, I give you an example. You go, you are with friends, you say, okay, it is summer, beautiful, let us go to DQ. The Dairy of the Queen, the Queen of the Dairy. Okay. Why? Because you want to eat ice cream, you like that, you know, and you want to talk with others. Are you free? Is it not ice cream, the taste of ice cream and the friendship of forcing you, obliging you to go to Dairy Queen? Those people, they say yes. Behavior. Those who ask behavior, we are determined by that. You are determined by your friend. But why do you go to? Who is choosing ice cream instead of Coca-Cola? Instead of, I don't know, or abstinence or ice cream? You. So the central problem is here. I am the one who is motivated. It is true. The motive caused me to do something. You are here. Why are you here? Because you have a motivation to become priest, to become a teacher, to have a degree, etc. But who decided that motive? You. So, in fact, determinists are true, a part of truth. We always acting for a motivation. But that motivation, it is not imposed to us by itself. It is chosen by us. If you are here this morning, it is because you decide to want to become a nurse, to become a nun, to become a priest, to become what you want. Yes, brother.
How does like coercion and addiction fall into that, Father?
That is in fact, addiction, we know that addiction begins by want. In the first time we take something, we are responsible. We can act, we can refuse. We can accept, we can refuse. You know? So when you go on the right way, the first steps are very important. After that, you follow the first step. If they are good, continue good way, right way. So we will study that in ethics on the question of addiction. But we can say, even those who are addicted, they have some responsibility because they are human. Maybe they are not purely responsible on the act they are doing now on their pot, for example, under the LSD, but they are responsible to have taken the LSD. They are begin to take that. We are responsible for the habit we acquire. It is the chapter, we see 11 on the habit. We studied that next chapter, the habit. Okay? Virtues and vices. Do you have a question?
Does our motivation come from past experience?
From
past experience?
It's influence, yes. Because I cannot have motivation if I know nothing. Huh? So motivation is the knowledge of the good for me. In that knowledge, every knowledge comes from our experience. Huh? Every knowledge. Okay? Good question. Okay, now I go to 7.2. That here is the position of the materialist. Don't forget, I don't give the position of Aristotle here. Huh? But it's important to know that because we live in a society which is materialist. On the face of it, determinists conclude. Freedom is only a name. We are free only a name. Apparently free, you know. Is an appearance of freedom. We are victimized by past and present situation. Man ceased to act freely, but his actions are shaped, controlled by foreign elements within and without. So that we call determinism, psychological determinism, sociological, and theological determinism. I go to page 8. But the consequence of that, if after you deny freedom, you deny that men can have right. We possess right when we are free. So men has no, according to them, men has no natural right. So his rights are only conventional. And we studied that in philosophy, ethics, and social ethics. What is the origin of right? So, of course, those people, determinists, materialists, they live in a society. They must have laws. But the laws do not come from my nature, they come from my will. They are not found on the fact I am free, but they are found on the fact there is a social authority to impose me some restriction to my tension, to my instinct, to control my instinct. I have an instinct to possess, but the state sent policemen to impede me to steal the bank or the bursar or the rectory. In fact, it is the consequence of that in ethics very important. It is the denial of ethics, the denial of moral. We start from the moral level and we go to the legal level. Moral level, morality to legality. And the classical example of that is abortion. For us, abortion is moral, but for the society, it is legal. So, yes. Okay? Now, there is a kind of contradiction. At the same time, they deny men responsible, but at the same time, man has to obey the laws. And if he does not obey the law, he will be punished. Jail exists even for materialistic people. In Russia and Vietnam, there are jail, prisons. We cannot, they are a kind of schizophrene, in fact, materialist schizophrene. Because they are, in fact, they deny freedom, but at the same time, they act as freedom exists, because they punish people, or they reward people. So why they do that? They should not punish, because there is no freedom. But we cannot live in a society without laws. So they deny moral responsibility, but now they accept only civil responsibility. That's the reason why in our society we can accept homosexuality as something normal. We can accept abortion, something like normal, because we don't take care of the morality. We take care only on the legality. And one of the philosophers who proposed that is Immanuel Kant. To separate morality from legality. Okay. I go to page 9. In fact, determinists, when they speak about freedom, they are on the level of positivism. Positivism, they say we accept only what we can measure. Positivism, what we can measure. So, can we measure a lack of freedom, a lack of love? No. Many we cannot. So therefore, for them, there is no value. We have to measure. Okay. I go in the rectangle. They reject all transcendent dimension. And they accept there is only one reality, matter, only as a lack of faith. When I teach Marxism, I remember my student book. Well, a student gave me a day. He said, "What do you think about that book?" And first number was, number one, there is only one reality matter, the credo, creed. I believe there is only one reality matter. It's a lack of faith. They cannot prove that. They cannot prove there is no other reality. So you can read the criticism, I don't have time for that. In fact, number 11. These thinkers, determinists, realize that the free act is truly determined, but is true, is limited, but they fail to distinguish various levels of causality. It is true that when you have a motive, and you are determined by this motive, by this object. You choose to eat ice cream, you are determined by the ice cream. But you are determined the ice cream, why? Because you choose that. In fact, what is freedom? It is auto-determination, self-determination. Self-determination. I determine myself to do that. So, if I eat an orange, it's not the orange that determines me, of course. I don't eat an apple. When I eat, I am determined by the orange. But it is myself who decide that the orange will satisfy my appetite. I am the one who decide the motivation, decide the object, able to satisfy my appetite. Here, the big difference between animal dinner and human dinner. Animal dinner, they have not a great choice, huh? But men have possibility to determine what kind of food he will prepare, he will eat, etc. Okay. I go to page 10. So, the position of Aristotle and St. Thomas, Aquinas. In order to clarify the manner in which the act of choice is both free and caused. That is the problem. It is true that I am caused by the motive. I cannot deny that. If you are here now, it is because you are caused by a motivation, by to become something or someone, to do something, you know. In every action, we are determined by an object, an action to do or a thing to possess, okay? But the difference between the cat, my cat and myself, the cat does not decide what will be the object of his desire. I decide what will be the object of my desire. It is so true that I can renounce to the object. Suppose you are going to see the Mass, and suddenly you pass in front of the kitchen, in your rectory you see a beautiful cake. Yum, yum, yum. Yes, the cake is there, the object is there, but you have to see the Mass in 5 minutes. What you do? You don't eat. Your will decide that the object will not determine you. Your will decide that the object will not determine you. You have the master of the object who decide. I am determined because I cannot eat anything. I will eat an orange or a cake. But I decide that the orange and the cake will be what I will eat. The cat does not say that. When he's in front of a mouse, he does not say, today is Friday. I will not eat meat during Lent. No. Oh, this mouse is a creature of God. Oh, no, I will not kill that mouse. But we can. And if you are here today, it is because you decided, yourself, you take the decision to have that motivation to be here. You are not the slave of the motive. You are not the slave of the object, but you control the object. In fact, freedom essentially is here. Self-determination, auto-determination, self-mastering. Freedom is not to do what we want. It's to do what we will. It's different. What we decide. There is a difference between the word will, to will, and to desire. To desire is more sensible. To will is... We can desire something and not will it. It is what we do, for example, when we meet the vow of poverty. We have a tendency to possess. It's not wrong. Everybody wants to possess. But you say, no, I will not possess. I will give that to the community, you know. Many times, we renounce something good. Why? Not because the thing is good, because you see in renouncing to that good is better for you. The good for you is not to have the good. You know? Okay. I read that text here, huh? And how is this clarification can be held consistently a careful detailed analysis of the nature and characteristic of the act of choice. Okay, so what the problem it is frustration at being unable to understand how man is free. In fact, the problem is not to say we are not free. It is to understand how we are free and how we are not free. And it is many times when you have to explain that to the student, it is there. Because they say, I'm not free because I am obliged I need to eat. Yes, you need to eat, but of course that you are not free. But you are free to choose a steak or a sausage or a cheese or macaroni. And if you eat macaroni, even if you like macaroni, it is you who decide to eat macaroni. So you are free because you control, you master, you determine your own object, the object. There is freedom. It's not to do what you want, it is to do what I decide for me, what is good to me now. Okay? And therefore, I am totally responsible for the choice of my action. Okay? And here, in philosophy, when we speak about that, the important word is the word cause. It's not only a succession of action, it is really a cause. The object cause really my decision. I cannot will chocolate if there is no chocolate at all. 5 years ago, nobody here, except maybe some in Vietnam, they could desire a Coruscant. Not because you know Coruscant, because I spoke to you about Coruscant. If you go to a market, maybe you will see Coruscant. Oh, I want that. Because now you know. But you can say yes or no. I will take, I will not take. So the object can be in front of you. The object wants to cause your act of freedom. It will not cause your act of freedom as long as you not decide that will be the cause of my act of freedom. That chocolate will be what I will eat. So you are, in fact, what is the first principal agent of your freedom? Yourself. Yourself. But you cannot will without an object. I will. No, you will. I love. I do. What do you love? Whom do you love? Oh, no. I love. It is exactly the same thing. I think. You think about what? Oh, no, I think. I think. No. To think alone without an object is stupid. To love nothing is stupid. It's nonsense. We love something. Huh? We detest something. We look at something. Remember the man, like that when you go to New York, on Central, I forget. Times Square, and look at that. You will see. You will see. But if you do that, because you have what to provoke people to laugh, you know, to be curious, etc. Okay, page 11. Now we try now to study the anatomy of the human act. And to study that, we have a very good tool given by St. Thomas Aquinas on the analysis of the human act. And during that study, you should have in front of you on page 16. Put that on your desk. Well, first, on page 11, a free act is an experience of attraction. We saw that. We can act without being attracted by a good, an aspect of good. Okay? And that phenomenon of attraction seems to be as large as there is something. You remember, or in metaphysics, being is one, being is true, being is good. So when I know being, a true being, there is something good in the being. What is the first goodness, the first good thing in every being? To exist. It is better for a fly to exist than not to exist. It is better for a mosquito to exist than not to exist. There must be some good by the fact it exists, okay? So that means in every being we can find a good. And because we can find a good, we are attracted by that good. So we are attracted because we see a value, something good, a value, something good, a value in the being. And that provokes a desire. It is desirable. Or we try to avoid him because it's not good. Yeah, the same reaction. We can love something, we can detest something. But why we detest? To detest is to love in such a way that we don't want to be bothered by what is bad, you know. Okay? Consequently, there is correspondence and complementarity between the intellect and the will. So, since the beginning of the class, we saw that. And if you look at the paper, you will see the role. Continually, St. Thomas shows us that every step of the act of the will is preceded by an act of the intellect. Both are linked. Okay? And there is a causal relation between them. Okay? So what is 1.4? Free choice. Free choice is the intellective appetite, or if you want another word, the will. Intellective appetite or the will. It's the same thing. Okay? Positively inclining towards something that has been understood in some manner, however imperfectly. So we are tending toward an aspect of good. Okay? That is fundamental. Fundamental. We are tending toward a good. Okay? The human range of willing goes beyond the appetite of range animal. So we can desire, we can will not only what is present, but we can will what is future. We can will what is material, we can will also what is not material. We can will what is temporary, we can will what is eternal. So the object of our will starts from ice cream to eternal life, you know. All that is the object. In fact, the object of my will is any kind of being. Every being can be will or not will by my mind. Okay? In the measure, I see a good, I see a value. Even those who kill themselves, they see a value, a liberation, you know, cessation of suffering. Okay? Now, I go to the number 3 in the middle of the page. The object of the intellective appetite is good itself. Being as good. I explained that to you. Okay? Well, you can read that by yourself. Number 4. The good itself is only simply being as related to the will. In fact, the truth is linked to the intellect, and the good is linked to the will. So the object of the will is the good. The object of the intellect is the truth. The truth, that is true. Okay, now I go to page 13. 13. Or 3 basic reasons to view something as good. First, we have that in St. Thomas. Pleasurable. Provoke a pleasure. We call that concupiscible good. Concupiscible. We see that when we study emotion next week. It can be useful irascible, because we are making an obstacle, some effort to have that. And it can be befitting or proper, we can good, the honest good in ethics. Good is simply being that is desire. In fact, what is good, it is the being as an object of my will because it is good. That is being. In fact, here we see the link between philosophy of man and metaphysics and ethics. All that is linked. Imagine those who have no notion of ethics, of metaphysics, no notion of philosophy of man, how they can take some decision when they speak about ethics. Ethics is based on philosophy of man. On the notion, we are studying the human person. Why? Because the human person is the one who is acting as a moral being. Okay? We can, and in fact, when we desire the good, we tend toward the universal good, the perfect good. The perfect good. We're good without limit. Because we are open, through our intellect, we are open, we remember that toward the infinite. No? So for the good, we are tending toward the infinite. Think about St. Augustine. No? We are never satisfied. You can have millions of dollars, billions of dollars, you are not satisfied. Because you know it's only temporary. You cannot possess billions of dollars for eternity. Because a day you will die. And that stops the fun. Stop the fun. You know, there is no perfect good on earth because of death. That is bothering every kind of party, every kind of pleasure. Okay? So what? We are tending toward the perfect good. Why? To be perfectly happy. And what is happiness? Happiness is the subjective aspect of the good. You know, when you eat an apple, you eat some object, an apple, molecule, yum yum. At the same time, you enjoy that. No, I hope. That is subjective. So in fact, in every good, there is an objective aspect and a subjective aspect. And satisfaction. Satisfaction. In Latin, satis means enough. Enough. Satisfacere, to make. Faction. So, happiness, it is what we tend toward the full satisfaction of our desire. We are tending toward the perfect good. The perfect good is objective, and the perfect good is also subjective. We cannot separate them. You know, some sect, if ever you see the movie Babette Feast, I will ask questions on that if you want at the end of the year. Every year I use that movie. It's wonderful, one of the best movies we can see. They have a banquet, it's a sect. In that sect, they must not have a single pleasure, because pleasure is sin. So they have, and the French women prepare a banquet, and they are eating the best food, the best wine, and they try not to enjoy, but it's stupid. We cannot separate the taste of ice cream from the fact we eat ice cream. You know, that mentality of the Jansenism, Jansenism, Manichaeism. In fact, that is Manichaeism. Two, what is spiritual is good, what is material is bad. So, you eat ice cream only by duty. Don't enjoy that. If you enjoy that, you go to confession after. No. No. Jesus, at Cana, he did not say, give them vinegar. Transform that water into vinegar. It's a good wine. I'm sure it rained with his apostles. They were joyful. Happiness is linked with the good. In fact, when you do something good, you have a satisfaction. No? When you succeed something, a satisfaction. We'll see that soon. Okay? So the formal, but page 70, the formula is the universal good. Huh? Page 14. The will is free only when it shows particular good. In fact, am I free in front of the universal good? No. I am tending necessarily toward the perfect good. Why? Because I am intelligent. And because my intelligence is open to the infinite, my will is open toward the infinite. And nothing finite can satisfy myself. Nothing. Nothing. So, even the billionaire, they are not satisfied. Never satisfied. They want more and more and more. There is no limit to greed. Huh? No limit to greed. Okay? So, in fact, here we have two concepts to understand very well. Voluntas ut natura and voluntas ut libera. That is central in the teaching of St. Thomas and Aristotle. Natura, nature. The will, voluntas is the will, as nature. The will as nature, I tend necessarily toward the perfect good. I am not free. There is no freedom in. No freedom. It's like a compass. Is the compass free to tend toward north of Canada? Don't forget, we possess no magnetic north is in Canada. It's not a possession of the United States. Santa Claus is there also. Santa Claus. And once you write a letter to Santa Claus, you write to Canada, and the postal code is. It's not a joke, it's true. Thousands and thousands of letters every year arrive in Canada. Santa Claus. You have no idea that big. You know, you saw the movie 35th Avenue with Santa Claus in black and white movie. Beautiful. At Christmas every year they do that. They play that. That is the reality every year in Canada. We receive thousands and thousands of letters from children from all the world because they believe Santa Claus lives in Canada. He's a Canadian citizen. And his code is H-O, H-O, H-O. Oh, oh, oh. Funny, huh? It's true. So when you are with your compass, you are a Boy Scout in the forest, when are you free? When you follow your compass. If you say, I don't need a compass, you will turn like that. I follow my compass. You are not free. I am not free in tendency toward the perfect good. No freedom. No freedom. But is any finite good is the perfect good? No. No. Therefore, I am free. Because I am not free, I am free. That means I am not free in regard of the North Pole or regard of the perfect good. But because I am not free, and there is no finite good able to satisfy my appetite of happiness, I am free. I can choose everything by myself. A good example of that, Saint Francis of Assisi. He was the richest, he's the son of the richest man in Assisi. And instead of marrying a rich woman, he married Lady Poverty. Stupid. Stupid. Yes, all the people think he's poor Francis. Now he is yes, all his friends say, yeah, you're crazy, completely crazy. No. Freedom. Freedom is it. Freedom is in the fact that you are, par nature, you tend toward the perfect good. And when you look at the good, nothing can determine you. Nothing can determine. We are determined by the perfect good, but we are not determined by the finite, limited, temporary good. So we can choose poverty, we can choose richness, we can choose to be live in a monastery, to be in Hollywood, to be. Because nothing can satisfy us perfectly. Even if you want to desire to become a pope, When you become a pope, you will not be satisfied because you say, in a few years I will be in the cemetery. A king will be in the cemetery. Huh? And when you go to the church, you saw the tomb of the kings, huh? in Westminster Abbey. So it's temporary. Of course, our gracious Majesty, Queen Elizabeth II, is more than 60 years now, 61 years like myself. We began together. She was the King of England, I began to teach her, same year. Okay. So, is the capacity of choosing. Huh? Okay. Now, page 15. So why? Because the will inclined to a particular good. The particular good is limited, therefore I cannot be necessitated. I am determined because I determine myself, but I am not necessitated. That means I can choose another one. In my choice of the little good, I can choose whatever. So number 8.3, rather, the ultimate source of the choice is not in the object, it is in the will. How we can explain Francis of Assisi choosing to be a crazy man with the old suit, because he used the poorest clothes of the people, to live like a hobo. Free. He was free. Freedom is the self-determination. Freedom is to be master of the object I decide to have. Yes, master.
So it's not in the object, but in the will, right?
Yes, but there was, if it is the object you are determined, that is the position of determinist.
Yeah.
Okay?
Thank you, Father.
Okay. Now, you read that. That's very, very important. And I go now to 16. That is excessively important. It will be a question to examine. You have the role of the intellect and the role of the will. And you have three stages, three parts. First, the phase of intention of the end. Secondly, the phase of election, the means. And finally, the phase of execution. Okay? Now, St. Thomas explains all the time from one to the other. Always we start from knowledge. Always. First, perception of a good. The intellect approves something as good. It presents that to the will. I see a restaurant, it is written ice cream or Coca-Cola. Okay? It is simple apprehension of a good. That is intellect. But that discovery of a kind of good provokes a wish or a liking. It's good, it smells good. You are working and you smell turkey soon and Thanksgiving. So the will experience an inclination that is desirable. You pass in front of the dealer, automobile dealer, you see, oh, that car, I will drive. But you know, it is Audi, $55,000. So, judgment of attainability. Can attain that good or not? Can I attain that good? So the intellect judges that the good may be attained. If it does be attained, we stop there. You know, I saw an Audi, I stop there. I have no more meaning to that. If I can, I continue my reasoning. I say the good is possible. And now my will is tending toward that intention. Be careful. Intention means here tending toward something. It's not a moral act here. It's only the fact now my appetite is caught by that object. And is attracted by that object. It's not an act of will. Temptation is here. Temptation is here. Temptation is not sin. Temptation is not a moral act. Temptation is a temptation. Is number 4. 2, 3, and 4. Which become an active. I am attracted as long as I don't consent. It's not a sin. When I consent, that is a sin. You know. In number 6, that is. Now I have to do something. If I have to now to see if I will take it or not, I will do it or not. You know, that is deliberation. I weigh what is good, what is the pro and con. No? I study that, you know. But I can't do that eternally. My intellect cannot decide. I can have the best reason, my intellect can decide. What will decide? My will. And that is consent. And consent is the moral act. The beginning of the moral act is here. 5 is condition, sufficient reflection. You remember that on catechism? Sufficient reflection. And after, full consent. You remember that? When you go to catechism, number 6, yeah. And that is moral act. Even if you do nothing after you decided to kill, you kill in your mind. Jesus said, when you see a woman with concupiscence, you will, full consent, you are already an adultery in your mind. You know? Okay? Now, it's not enough. If you have only one thing, mean, but you have to find the means. I decide to go to New York, I have to decide by bus, by plane, by car, walking, or with my motorcycle, etc. So we have to discuss about the means. The means here. 6, 7 is the means. The means. But your intellect will not take a decision. The decision is taken by your will, and now it is the consent for the means. We call that the choice. The choice. We choose. Well, here, in fact, 6 is the I accept to do or not to do. Not the choice, I accept to do this or to do that, in that way or in that way, another way. You decide to kill, you can use a gun, you can use a sword, you can use a poison. That is not, the most important first is to kill. But you have to take I mean, finally, you can stop there. Someone to stop there. Now you have to execute. And to execute, you need, again, your intellect. So the command that means the put order. What an order? An order is not the will; it is the intellect. The intellect. When the officer get an order, it is he expresses how you have to do, and now the will, it is putting your powers into action. Your intellect, your imagination, your memory, your feet, your everything. Your body is put into action. And now when we attain, you realize, I succeeded. Now I am a pope. Now I am a priest, I am a teacher, etc. I remember the first time I was my children in 5th grade. I was so happy. The first day, I was so happy. Finally, I am a teacher, you know. First mass, I am a priest. Yes, that provoked enjoyment. We'll come back on that, and the paper I gave you this morning is an explanation of that. Okay? So, exercise your freedom. You are not determined now, you will.
No, I have to leave. Yeah. Next class.